minus 9 minutes. Minus 8 minutes. Minus 7 minutes. Minus 6 minutes. Minus 5 minutes. minus 3 minutes. Minus 2 minutes. Minus 1 minute. Stand by.
How about that?
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. I'll tell you what, no matter what, it's going to be a really big show today. We've had some really great shows this week. There's no doubt about that. I got two great friends coming up in moments. Les Lazaruk, the voice of the Saskatoon Blades and Saskatoon Berries, will be joining us from Kamloops, British Columbia. He'll be co-hosting here in Hour 1. In Hour 2, Marc Trestman. He's one of the biggest names in football, and he's a good friend of mine, longtime NFL coach, three-time Grey Cup champion coach. Marc Trestman's going to be joining us from Naples, Florida, coming up in Hour 2. We got a very spooky-looking Les Lazaruk out there in Kamloops, BC, having a bit of an issue with his link, apparently. So, producer Corey, you let me know what I need to do, because this just dropped in my lap as we get going here in Hour 1. What? Just keep going? Okay. They're working with Les on it. No problem. I can handle this. So there is breaking news on this Thursday that has nothing to do with anything I wanted to talk about, but because we're live daytime sports talk here on Game Plus TV, I wanted to drop the fact that Portland Trailblazers head coach Chauncey Billups and Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier have been arrested in connection with a federal investigation into sports betting and illegal gambling. The charges Rozier and Billups face were not immediately known. They were arrested by the FBI Thursday morning. The NBA has had no immediate comment. So that's what everybody's talking about, but not here, because we are not the NBA show. We are not even an NBA show. So let's get going with the normal quick 6 show topics. And I'm Disappointed that there are some connection issues with Les out there in BC because I want his take on this. The World Series, of course. He's a baseball guy. The Blue Jays and Dodgers will meet the media today ahead of Game 1 of the World Series at Rogers Center, which goes Friday night. The matchup features two contrasting approaches. The big spending Dodgers against a Blue Jays roster built on balance and development. Toronto's contact bats and steady defense will be tested by LA's power hitters and deep rotation led by left-hander Blake Snell in Game 1. Now, as we go to air here today, and you guys are going to help me out here, especially since we don't have Les at the moment. Hopefully we do in the next segment. But as of this morning, I haven't seen the Blue Jays name their Game 1 starter yet. And somebody write in if that is a thing, whether you're watching on YouTube and streaming or on the Western Dodge text line, 902-518-3033. And let's just have a little fun here. If the Blue Jays have not named their starter, indeed, to this point, coming up on 24 hours away from Game 1, who do you think it should be? Okay, now delving back into, for the rest of us, besides this NBA story, which I understand is big news, but it's all anybody is talking about in the U.S. But this is, check this out, the Canadian hour of the program. So we have a lot of things to get to that have nothing to do with coaches in the NBA or guards getting arrested for gambling violations. So as we all know, the Blue Jays are seeking their first World Series title since 1993, while the Dodgers are chasing back-to-back championships in their fourth appearance in 6 seasons. I put this in my commentary. It runs across Saskatchewan radio. If you don't have access to that or LTD radio, you can always read it at rodpedersen.com. Basically, I've been sitting here trying to read up on previews and stuff. There's not a lot of coverage in the United States about the World Series. I know that sounds crazy, but there's actually right now more coverage about the National Hockey League. Of course, all I watch is ESPN, and they have the NHL, and they have the NFL, and they have the NBA, but they don't have MLB. So there's not a lot of people talking about it. I think we can all agree that the Blue Jays are the underdogs in this series. Greg Zahn basically giving them absolutely no chance. And I think let's just get the series underway, basically, is what we're told. There's not a lot to say. The Dodgers are the big bad Dodgers, the biggest payroll, the defending champions. The Blue Jays, absolutely nobody but them expected them to be here. So let's get it going and see if they have a chance here against the best team in baseball. As we continue to work on bringing in Les Lazaruk, and I'm sure we will. My brother from another mother, the voice of the Saskatoon Blades and Saskatoon Berries. Let's just drip in on the comment section for a second. And as always, the Western Dodge text line is open, as I said, 902-518-3033. Experience the Western Dodge difference, local, reliable, and driven to find the perfect vehicle for you. Upstate New York, Cardinal Ryan writes in. He says, "Good day, Rod Squad. 6 wins in a row for the New Jersey Devils. But more importantly, Marc Trestman is on the RP show today." BC Eric writes in. He's in Vancouver, and he says, "Coach Trestman, big-time guest RP. Well done." Well, since we don't have Les, and because it's back to just RP time, which, as you know, I think 20,000 hours on air, I added it up recently. I can handle it. I'm fine. Here's the thing with Trestman. I asked about a month ago when I knew that we were going to television across Nevada on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. I'm like, who do I know with Raiders ties in the NFL? First face that popped in my mind was Marc Trestman, offensive coordinator with the Oakland Raiders from 01 to 03. And later on in the program, I'll go and read Mark's whole resume. Marc Trestman. And I don't want to read it when he comes on because I don't want it to appear like I'm kissing his butt. So I'll just do it here. Oh, and by the way, Jen has checked in from Southern California, and she says, "Good morning from Southern California. How about those Sabres getting some big wins?" Yes, Sabres fans should be very happy today. But anyways, Marc Trestman coming up in hour 2. So here's the thing about Marc. I tried to get him on a month ago, but it was right when the CFL announced their rule and field changes, and he was incredibly upset. And a lot of people said to me, "Well, get him on if he's upset. It'll be great TV." I'm like, why would I do that? Why would I put Marc in a bad position and even open the door for him looking bad? He's like, "I don't want to come on because I'm too upset right now." By the way, he thinks now he's okay, well enough to come on and tell some old Oakland Raiders stories and CFL rule changes. But this was on the phone. So Trestman said to me, he goes, look, Rod, it took me like 3 years. It was 3 or 5 years, he said, to learn the CFL game. And I'm like, come on, Mark. And I will say this when he's with us next hour. He came to the CFL in 2008 and was in the Grey Cup in his first year. Get out of here, Tim. The guy just doesn't give himself enough credit. But he won a national championship with the Miami Hurricanes in the 80s, 3 Grey Cups in 5 years coached in the CFL, 2 with Montreal, 1 with Toronto. I believe he was in a Super Bowl with the Raiders. We'll talk about that. He's just the quintessential football guy. Hello, Kevin the Medium, checking in from Mexico. Happy belated birthday, Kev. So Marc Trestman coming up in hour 2, and we're hoping that Les Lazaruk will be with us after the break. Producer Corey tells me that they're on it, and that'll be the thing. But there's a lot of things to get to with Leicester, NHL we haven't even touched on. A little CFL here in hour 1, because this is, as we say, the Canadian hour, and the lights went out in the Saddledome last night. Oh, I'm following everything. We'll be right back. We're live here on the Game Plus television network all across Canada, 32 U.S. states, YouTube Live, podcast, and across the U.S. South on Mission Radio.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge. Big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon and
Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Famoso, Italian pizzeria and bar. Taste, savor, share. Famoso, the spirit of Italian. Come in, enjoy.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results.
At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
All right, welcome back, everybody. What the heck? Hey, it is the RP Show on a Thursday, episode number 1602, and I'm hoping in moments we'll be joined by Les Lazaruk, the boy. There, we got him, and as clear as a bell, and he looks ready to rock, but he has no audio. Okay. Hey, it happens. Let's all just take a breath. I saw this the other night on the NBA opening night on NBC. Their microphones weren't working on. It's NBC. We're bigger than NBC, aren't we? Here on Game Plus Television. As we await, Les, a couple things. Might as well do it now. The Junior Hockey Report, we do it every day. In the dub on Wednesday, Caden Brown scored twice and had 2 assists for the Regina Pats in a 6-3 drubbing of the Lethbridge Hurricanes. Elsewhere, Red Deer beat Swifty 4-3 in overtime. Medicine Hat down Prince George 6-3, and it was Kelowna over Victoria 2-1 in a shootout. Those Hurricanes were at the Moose Jaw Warriors on Friday. Stop in before or after that game at the Mad Greek Eatery. Say hey to Johnny Utretis, the Mad Greek. Tell him you saw us talking about him on the show. The Mad Greek Eatery open until 11 p.m. for dine-in, pick-up, or order online at themadgreekeatery.com. Let me just knock a few things off here. We are brought to you in hour one in part by Pump Jack Steakhouse and Saloon. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. They bring you our CFL and NFL picks weekly. We'll be doing that tomorrow on a Football Friday. Point 3 of the quick 6 as we roll it on out here. Carson Wentz will make his 5th straight start at quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings when they play the Chargers in Los Angeles on Thursday Night Football. The team said J.J. McCarthy needs more time to build up a sprained right ankle, especially on a short week. The Vikings are coming off a 28-22 loss to visiting Philadelphia on Sunday. From the audience, you might as well help me all out. You know, it's funny. It's funny because I'm listening to Dan Patrick this morning. I was listening to Mike Florio on Pro Football Talk. And in the case of Dan Patrick, the Chauncey Billups news just came out of the blue and dropped right in his lap. And it was like, oh, the coach of the Portland Trailblazers has been charged by the FBI for a gambling violation. We'll talk about it later. Because it was very clear Dan Patrick wanted to talk about something else, and this just sprung up in the middle of the show. See why we hate his sports talk hosts, why that happens? We're expected to have a hot take on something as soon as it happens, and a lot of times you don't know all the details. But on that NBA vein, I can't see us talking a lot of NBA ever really on this show, but you never know. Never is a long time. Our poll question today has to do with this. It's for EMJ Marketing. Where should the NBA expand first? And we're such not NBA guys here. I thought there was more than 30 teams. You put a gun into my head, I would have said there was 32 teams in the NBA, but there are only 30. So if expansion is on the horizon there, I mean, I don't really follow it. I watch a little bit of the games, but I don't watch the shows outside of it. Are they going to expand? They're saying that they might. So we came up with 4 cities: Las Vegas, Seattle, Montreal, or Vancouver. And Jeff Teixeira has written in, he's watching on YouTube. He says, after reading today's news, I think that it's best that the NBA stays as far as possible from Las Vegas. Here's the thing. It's got our audience titillated to talk about it. Arlen Bruce has checked in. G'day, RP. Or AB, he says, G'day, RP. I just want to say, man, being in Vancouver for over 10 years and coming from a basketball state, Vancouver definitely needs an NBA team here. Well, they're not getting a WNBA team, are they? I can't remember. I know Toronto is, the Toronto Tempo, but can we just walk this back? So AB is in favor of Vancouver getting a team. I'm not going to say I didn't vote for Las Vegas. I voted for Seattle because I really fell in love with the NBA when I was going out there in the Western Hockey League back in the day. Those West Coast road trips were so much fun. There was so much to do. The weather was always better in the dead of winter. I started going to Supersonics games. And I'm like, man, did that town love that team. Gary Payton, the glove. George Karl was the coach. Kevin Calabro, the voice of the Sonics. I mean, when they left, that ripped the heart right out of that city. And it's never been replaced. The Kraken have not replaced it. So I want to see the NBA go back to Seattle first. That's just my vote. In Las Vegas, they're just getting their feet wet with the Raiders and still trying to figure out really what the Golden Knights are all about. And then you're going to put in the Athletics from MLB. And although I'm told there's ownership groups in Las Vegas that want an NBA team, it's like, let's just slow down. That same Jeff writes in and he says, after watching the Netflix special on the Expos, give the NBA to Montreal. Now that is a what would you say, cultural melting pot. It's big city, it's Cosmo. Montreal is so underrated. It's an unbelievable town. There's reasons for all these places. To be honest, Vegas will probably finish fourth in the poll. I think Montreal's finishing fourth right now, but if you knew, you'd know. BC Eric says the Sonics need to come back first. Right? Rich in Edmonton writes in and he says, my first NBA game was in Seattle in the spring of 1990. Jason in Red Deer writes in, he says, plans are already in place to bring a team to Las Vegas. They have a proposed location and arena renderings. That don't mean diddly squat. Just so you know, that don't mean diddly squat. What these big money guys do is they draw up the arena rendering. Sometimes they do even a splashy video to sell you, get you all horny. Sort of like the car salesman that says, take the car home overnight. Just take it home with you overnight. Of course, you're going to buy it after you take it home overnight. You see, I could give you a list of 6. I could show you 6 conceptualized drawings for Mosaic Stadium in Regina before they actually did it, most of which had a retractable roof on it. And that never happened. They did get their stadium, yes. Saskatoon. I can show you the renderings for the NHL arena in Saskatoon. Do you want to see them? That doesn't mean anything. So I think Las Vegas is fourth. And holy smokers, did I get off track with that. But that's okay. That's okay. As we work on bringing in Les Lazaruk, the voice of the Blades, we may or may not have him. But fortunately, I'm a vet. I can handle it. And we're having fun here. I got a couple of flames yesterday. A couple of flags I picked up yesterday. Canadian flag, a USA flag. Point 4. We will talk some CFL here because why not? The Hamilton Tiger Cats can clinch first place in the CFL's East Division Friday with a win over the visiting Ottawa Red Blacks. The Ticats want to host the division final on November 8th. In Friday's other game, the Calgary Stampeders seek to finish off the regular season with a win over the host Edmonton Elkamos and put pressure on the BC Lions to beat the Saskatchewan Roughriders. On Saturday, Stampeders and Lions are chasing second place in the West behind the Riders. Also Saturday, Montreal visits Winnipeg. Just so you all know, we're going to be putting a hell of a lot more focus on Week 21 in the CFL Friday. That's when Kevin the Medium is going to be joining us from Mexico. He is a CFL first guy. And there is some intrigue to these games. But since I'm sitting here, these are all things. What's up, Corey? Are you going to say something? I thought I heard something in my ear. No?
I can hear you.
Got Les.
There we go.
We have Les. We've got Les Lazaruk in Kamloops, British Columbia. How you doing, buddy?
Well, now I'm feeling a lot better because I was frustrated beyond heck with technology. It drives me nuts. All these times, Rod, that I've been on with you doing the same thing, and it didn't work today for some reason. It must be the mountain air in Kamloops.
Well, listen, let's jump right into it. Glad to see you, buddy. Yeah. Thanks for coming on. We have plenty of time with you, not necessarily in this segment, but about another 20 minutes with you. Let's start with the World Series, man. Let's start with the World Series. The question everybody has is, can the Jays beat the evil Dodgers? What's your thoughts on this series?
They can beat the evil Dodgers, but they have to get to their starting pitchers early. They have to knock them out, get to the Dodgers bullpen. That is their Achilles heel. Everything else about the Dodgers, I mean, everybody's got 8-figure salaries. 8, not 7, 8-figure salaries. So they're big, they're good. They've been there, they've done that. They are the new evil empire, the West Coast version of the evil empire for baseball. And when Dave Roberts supposedly says we're going to ruin baseball by winning this World Series, he's not far off from being wrong. The Jays need to win it just to save the sport, essentially. But having said that, those starters, Blake Snell, Yoshinobu Yamamoto, Tyler Glasnow, all coming from other teams or from other countries and have found their way to the Dodgers. And then, of course, you got Shohei Ohtani. You've got to get those 4 guys out of the game and into the bullpen before the 7th inning. If you're able to do that, then you have a chance to win a game. We'll see whether or not the Jays can do that.
Yeah, and you didn't mention the Game 1 starter, Blake Snell. The thing is, where we love sports is it's not much different from sport to sport to sport. I assume you believe in the concept that the better team will always win a 7-game series. I feel that way, and that's not good news for the Jays.
No, not at all. I mean, based on what I was just saying, the LA Dodgers should be able to win this series in 5 games just because the depth they have at starting pitching and the depth they have 1 through 9 in their lineup is such that they'll torch the Blue Jays at some point in time during the game. It may not happen every inning, but they may come up with a big inning. They may come up with a big hit. They always seem to do that with the people that they've got. And it's not just Shohei. There's Mookie Betts. There's Freddie Freeman. There's, Teoscar Hernandez. As ironic as that is, that Teoscar's with the Dodgers and a former Blue Jay. So there's all kinds of guys. Like I say, 1 through 9. Kike Hernandez always seems to come up big at this time of the year for the Dodgers. So it's an interesting group, and the Jays are really up against it. And I think they're, it's nice that they got here. It's great for the country and all the rest of that. But sorry, folks, they're going to come up short.
Well, let's hope that it continues. We got new viewers here. They're asking what this show's about, where it's from. Let's BC Eric. I'll handle the questions. Just hang on. We have a thing called Viewer Takeover later on in the program. That's not now. So hang on. I'll answer the questions on behalf of the show. But I thank those that are all taking a stab at it. One question I have, and I don't know how long we have to the next break, but it's this. Les joined us late, so I got to cram everything in. Over 2 minutes, Corey says. Rough Riders, who is their biggest challenge to winning a Grey Cup? They're cooled their heels. They've clinched first, but that's not a guarantee to win the whole thing. Who's the biggest threat for them?
The team they're playing this weekend, the BC Lions. Nathan Rourke has had an MOP season. He's got all those receivers. I think the Lions are going to try and show, even though the Rough Riders probably still won't play their actual lineup that they'll have come West Division final game on November 8th. They're probably still going to freely substitute. I don't expect Trevor Harris to play more than a half at quarterback on Saturday night. But, as a result, I think BC, though they still have something to play, they want to be the home team in the West Division semifinal on November 1st. And so they're going to be, going all out to try and make sure they take out the Riders on Saturday and get that second place and get that home field advantage in the West semifinal and plant a seed of doubt into the minds of the Rough Riders going into that West Division final should the Lions get there.
Here's the real fun thing about sports and what we do here every day. I threw that question out yesterday, and I'm with you, Les. This is why we get along. I'd like to think that we think the same way. I hope that doesn't scare you. But I said the BC Lions as well. But people wrote in and said, it's the Calgary Stampeders. They kicked their ass all year. And I'm like, that is true. Somebody else also wrote in and said the Riders' biggest threat is themselves. And that's fine. Greg Zahn said that about the Dodgers yesterday. He's like, the only way they lose is if they beat themselves. That's what Zahn said. So anyways, I'll answer this before we break. Jeff Texera in Toronto writes in and he says, I just found this show on YouTube. I'm looking for Jay's podcast. Where in Canada is this show based out of? Our television home is Toronto and Las Vegas. I'm in Florida. I spend my summers in Saskatchewan. Les is currently in Kamloops. We're on the radio in Alabama and Georgia. We're a bit of a dog's breakfast, and we talk about everything. But you know what? It works. We're in season 7, 1,602 episodes, and people seem to like us. I don't know why. I wouldn't watch me. I get sick of me, but people tend to tune it in. I don't know why. So when we come back, we'll continue all of this and get to the NHL. Okay, we'll be right back. You are watching across Canada and 32 U.S. states on the Game Plus television network, YouTube Live, podcast, and 1700 AM Mission Radio across the U.S. South.
Country's hottest party is coming. James Barker Band, Bud Light Buckle Up Tour 2025. Live across Canada with special guests Ryan and Rory. Yeah, let's keep it simple. November 20th, Temple Garden Center. Tickets on sale now at Temple Garden Center box office or online at sasktix.ca. James Barker Band Live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference.
We position your brand where it belongs through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina. This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Welcome back, everybody. We've got so much going on. This is what I like to call the Canadian Hour here on Game Plus Television. We're also streaming live on YouTube. We've got some new viewers. We're trying to explain it in Hour 2. We stay on Game Plus TV, where we air across 32 states, but also we go to the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network in Nevada, home of the Golden Knights. And Marc Trestman will be our guest in Hour 2, live, the former offensive coordinator of the Raiders from 01 to 03, three-time Grey Cup champion. And for those that showed up late, tisk, tisk, we've already talked World Series, Chauncey Billups being arrested by the FBI this morning for gambling violations, Thursday Night Football, CFL Week 21. And as we roll with Les Lazaruk, the voice of the Blades and the Berries, we go to hockey. And we'll get to the dub. Hang on, everybody. Mike Matheson sounded like a real rodeo in Calgary last night, Lester. Mike Matheson scored on a one-timer off Ivan Demidov's crossing pass a minute into overtime to give the Canadians a 2-1 victory over the Calgary Flames. That was in overtime. The Flames now 1-6-1. The Flames have tied their worst start in franchise history dating back to 1995-96 under Pierre Pagé. The lights weren't even working in the Saddle Dome for the first 5 minutes. I'm sure a lot of your peeps talking about that game, Les, this morning.
Oh yeah. A lot of folks. We have a lot of guys on the Blades roster who are Calgarians, are Calgary natives, and they follow the Flames closely. And yeah, they're flummoxed as to why the Flames are off to such a horrible start. I feel bad for Ryan Huska, who's such a good guy, their head coach, formerly worked with the Kelowna Rockets in the league that I follow a lot closely. But I follow the NHL closely as well, because so many of the kids that play here end up going on up into the National Hockey League. And it is somewhat mystifying as to why the Flames are off to the slow start that they are. I mean, was it Nazem Kadri, I think, was their leading point getter through 8 games, and he only got like 4 or 5 points. So you know that you're having troubles putting the puck in the net. Dustin Wolf is getting crucified by a lot of the fans, and yet it's not his fault. He doesn't seem to have a lot of help around him on defense. So the Flames just have to find a way. They've got to they need to win a game ugly somewhere along the line and get out of the funk, because that's all it ever is. It's an 82-game season. But a bad start can really put you behind those proverbial 8 ball if you're not careful, and that's what the Flames are looking at.
You lost me at flummoxed. I love it.
Didn't you like that
You
word?
didn't lose me. Oh, yeah, exactly. What wonderful use of the term flummoxed. But I think we all are. But here's number one. They were off to a bad start last year at this time because everybody was on Ryan Husky's ass then. They didn't get it together until December. And as you know, they came within a whisker of making the playoffs with 96 points, tying an NHL record for the most points that not make the playoffs. But what I'm saying to Flames fans now, and I spent some time in Calgary this summer with Flames fans and the Flames themselves, and everybody was so happy, so optimistic. But now the fans are all going nuts, as you say. And I'm just going, you know what? Panic away. Panic away. I'm not your counselor. If you want everybody fired. They'll wanted Dustin Wolf signed to an extension. Now they got him. Like, oh my God, it's not the fans' fault, but can you just slow down? That's the thing. The Oilers aren't exactly off to the greatest start either. And let's not forget, Les, in sports, you've been through this as long as me. The ultimate, what have you done for me lately? Opening night, the Flames come back from an 0-3 deficit in Edmonton and beat the Oilers in a shootout. And that just seems like a year ago now.
Yes.
Right. And I guess so. Was last year a fluke for the Flames, do you think? Or no?
No, I don't think so. I like to believe that there's talent there that's going to make another step forward, but it's just unfortunate that they've gotten off to this type of a start. They've got a lot of good players there. It's again, it is mystifying as to why they're just not clicking here to start the season. It just baffles me.
Yeah. Ryan in Saratoga, New York's watching. He says flummoxed can get you a whole lot of points in Scrabble, Les. Just so
yes,
you know.
It would. I don't know. I have done that actually before and done very well in Scrabble because of that word.
I don't know enough about Scrabble to say any more about that. But those are our thoughts on the Flames. It's like, if you want to panic, go ahead and panic. I was defending them last year at this time. If you want to just go ahead and panic. Here tonight, well, there's a dozen games in the NHL tonight, including the red-hot Canadians at the Oilers. Canadians riding a 6-game win streak. They're atop the Atlantic Division. Senators are home to Philadelphia Flyers. Winnipeg Jets host the Saskatchewan Kraken. Mahura, Eberle, Stevenson, you name it. Riker Evans, basically. Yeah. And the Vancouver Canucks visit the Nashville Predators. We have royalty in town here. Sidney Crosby and Jenny Malkin are here tonight in Sunrise taking on the Florida Panthers. We're excited about that. The Cats are back after a 5-game road trip where they went 1-4. Your Jets are hot. I have them picked for the Stanley Cup final. Are you going that far with them?
No.
Yeah.
No. I mean, they won the President's Trophy last year, and I think they aren't going to be repeat winners of the President's Trophy, and I hope they don't repeat as President's Trophy winners, because when you win that, the expectations then come playoff time are so huge, and everybody's gunning for you, that you just don't ever seem to make it. So, with that in mind, I'm playing mind games, trying to be psychological here. This is the best thing that could happen. The Jets would not be the top team in all of the NHL in the regular season, that they would make the playoffs and find a way to get to the Stanley Cup final. Nothing would make me happier than for a Canadian team named the Winnipeg Jets to end the Canadian team drought of winning a Stanley Cup. Having said that, Jim Rod, I'm not a fan of 3 Canadian-based teams, the Montreal Canadiens, the Edmonton Oilers, and the Ottawa Senators. Hence, whenever they make a Stanley Cup final, I am not cheering for them. I'm hoping that the American-based team will beat them because there's 3 fan bases that are very obnoxious. And I've found that over the years. And those are the 3 in Montreal, Edmonton, and Ottawa.
Dude, this is hilarious.
So there.
Because, hey, I love it. I love it. I was doing my Cats and Bolts podcast yesterday. Had Jeff Rimmer on yesterday, the Hall of Fame voice of the Florida Panthers and Columbus Blue Jackets. I said, who was your least favorite road city to go to? He goes, Buffalo and New Jersey. I hated them. And I'm like, I can't believe you said it. He goes, what do I care now? I'm retired. I would never say that back in the day. Herm Hordell writes in.
Oh, goodness.
Watching on Game Plus TV on the Western Dodge text line, 902-518-3033, says, Rod, enjoying your show today. I remember when we hired Les from Winnipeg for our Saskatoon Blades broadcast. I've been on this kick all week, Les, about what were you doing back in 1993? I know I met you in 1994. What were you doing in 93?
93, I was working at CJOB Radio in Winnipeg, my hometown radio station, the information superstation back in the day, back in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. And it was a thrill for me to be able to work for that group for as long as I did, work with my mentor, Bob Irving, work at the same place that the late, great Ken Nicholson, the original voice of the Winnipeg Jets, worked at. The Friar. That's right, the Friar. The Friar was great. He was a phenomenal person, and God rest his soul that he's up in heaven and doing great up there and calling hockey games with all the rest of them.
Tony in Saskatoon writes in, he's watching, he says, good morning, Rod. It's a winner chicken dinner Thursday with Les Lazaruk. How many Blades games have you called, Les? And go Blue Jays, but I'm with Les. Jays in 5. He goes, but I think they can win 2. How many Blades games have you called, Les?
Coming up on 2,300.
Whoa,
this is the 32nd season that I'm doing this. Yesterday was one of those days where it was 15 hours on the bus in order to get from Saskatoon to Kamloops, with a couple of stops for meals in between. But we're up and at 'em again. We got to make the rest of the trek today to Everett, Washington, cross the border. And looking forward to that. Every day is an adventure, Rod, as you well know. And you got to have the attitude that you look forward and greet every day as something that's different and is going to be interesting and is going to pique your interest. And every day, my interest when I am doing this.
Yes, you do. I can tell because I listen. You never really gravitated to that when I said you're the Elton John of junior hockey broadcasting. You didn't really. But it's like every time Elton John sings Crocodile Rock, it's like for the first time he sang it. I'm like, this is an inspiration. That's you, Les. Yeah. Every game's like your first. So listen, I appreciate the time, brother, and safe travels the rest of the way. And I'm following very closely what you're doing. Go Blades, go, and have fun out there on the West Coast.
Appreciate that, Rod. Take care, and hopefully we get on the next time and we don't have any technical issues like we did this time. So I love being with you. It's great to catch up with you from time to time.
It always is. Yeah, we covered everything that I wanted to, so I'm happy with that, Les. Thanks. Don't take off just yet. We got a few more seconds as we roll to break, everybody. Viewer takeover and sports update coming up right after this here on Game Plus Television.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, Daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events. That's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Welcome back, everybody. Does your message stand out at Outlaw Communications? We make sure it does. Tony Plater brings 35 years of communication and leadership expertise, from media training and leadership coaching to strategic crisis planning and compelling content. He'll help you lead with confidence. Outlaw Communications, where creativity isn't a hobby, it's a way of life. And we're also brought to you in hour one by Suds Full Service Car Wash. Are you stuck for gift ideas? Suds gift cards, available online at our location or at Costco, are the ultimate for anyone who loves a clean ride. Visit sudsregina.com. This is the Canadian hour of the RP show. Yeah, I bought some flags yesterday. In hour two, we stay on Game Plus television, but then we go to the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network all across Nevada. And I'm very excited to welcome a longtime friend next hour, Marc Trestman. He was the offensive coordinator of the Raiders from 01 to 03. Got a lot to unpack with Marc Trestman before he comes on, because, listen, the show's only 2 hours long. It's only 1 hour in Nevada. I don't have time to read his whole resume. But did you know he played 2 years as a defensive back with the Minnesota Vikings? You think of Mark as just a nerdy bookworm, which he is, but he was also an undrafted defensive back, spent 2 years with the Vikes, and then very quickly got into coaching. I think he had an injury, actually, that ended his playing career. 4 years with the Miami Hurricanes, early 80s, won a natty with the Canes, into the NFL with every team, and then decided I'm going to try something new in the CFL at the age of 52. I'm going to try this CFL thing. Takes over the Montreal Alouettes in 2008, and he's in the Grey Cup first year. Didn't win it, but then beat us twice with Sask, 09-10. And then went back to the NFL as head coach of the Bears. That didn't really work out. I don't think I'm going to ask Mark about that, but Mike Ditka, the legendary America's coach, begged the Bears owners not to fire Mark because he knew that Mark wasn't the problem. Owners never listened, fired him, came back to the CFL and won another Grey Cup. And then most recently was with the LA Chargers. Now, it's funny. Kirk writes in from Toronto on the Western Dodge text line. He says, "Hey, Rod, when Marc Trestman signed with the Argos, it was like I had died and gone to heaven. Unfortunately, his stay in Toronto was too short. Met him at an Argo preseason meet and greet. He is a true gentleman and scholar. That's why, quite frankly, I'm unbelievably honored to have Marc Trestman come on the show. And when he was in Montreal, I had a staffer with the Alouettes tell me, they're like, Rod, you and one other media guy are the only two media guys Mark likes. And I also took that as a badge of honor. And I know I've divulged who that guy is, but I'm not going to say it here today. Everybody else can guess because they won't remember. But he's just a good guy. And he's 69 years of age. Somebody wrote in here, was it today or yesterday, and said that he should take over the Ottawa Red Blacks. And when I talked to Mark on the phone a month ago or whatever, he's in Naples. He's golfing this morning, Naples, Florida, which is what we Floridians refer to as the West Coast. It's the West Coast of Florida. And he won't say he's retired in case somebody calls. You just never know, right? He's 69 years of age, but Mark's been through a lot in life, and none of it was his fault. And I'm just proud to call him a friend. So I'm excited to bring him on next hour. If you have any questions for Marc Trestman, fire them at me now, and I'll pass them his way, although I'm pretty sure he and I can kill the 20 minutes pretty easily. Jeff in Toronto writes in, he says, great offensive mind. I wanted my Bills to sign him instead of Chan Gailey back in the day. Well, Jeff, you're a new viewer. You said you just found us today. A month ago when I was trying to find guys with Vegas Raiders ties because of our Silver State Sports and Entertainment component in hour two, Mark's face popped right into my mind. And then I asked him to come on, and he was too upset at the time to come on because it had to do with the CFL rule changes and field changes. They had just been announced at that. To be honest, he was more upset than I had ever seen him. He was dropping F-bombs. I'm like, Mark, this isn't you. That's how upset he is. And he's like, I may be able to talk about it, down the line. And today he's going to. So, hey, Allie, she's checked in from Texas. I'm so happy that you are so happy going to your Dallas Stars games. I've been following what you're doing. She says, I've been listening. Can't comment too much. Have some things going on this morning. Well, we're glad to have you here. Let me do that sports update. It's brought to you by Ultimate Fan Zone in Moose Jaw, your home for jerseys, collectibles, and all the gear you need. Visit them today or shop online at ultimatefanzone.ca. The Toronto Raptors started their NBA season with a bang. The Raptors set a franchise record for points on opening night in a 138-113 win over the Atlanta Hawks. Here in Miami, which is where I live, the Heat opened with a 4-point loss at the Orlando Magic. And as I was driving to the gym this morning, they never, ever talk about the Panthers. That's why they like me here as the hockey guy, and we do the hockey show. They never, ever talk about the Panthers. Even though that radio station carries the Panthers games, they were all talking about the Heat. I get it. You can't talk about 12 teams at one time. You can't. But this is very hard to believe, and for Canadians especially. And this is the Canadian hour of the show, so you may or may not find this surprising. But as I was doing the Panthers podcast live yesterday, I had Jeff Rimmer on, the Hall of Fame voice of the Panthers and Columbus Blue Jackets, and everybody's up in arms amongst the Panthers fan base here, of which there is now. And Jeff agreed. I said 5 years. They're all upset because the Panthers had lost 4 in a row last week. Very upset. Not that they were fired the coach upset, but we need to do this. We get rid of that guy, get rid of that guy. 5 years ago, when I first got here, nobody would have even known that the Panthers had lost 4 in a row. Wouldn't even know. They'd be bitching about the Dolphins. But now they win. Go to the stand. And here's the interesting thing. Rimmer was the original voice of the Panthers. And he said, it's not about them not liking or knowing hockey. He said when they came in 93, they almost made the playoffs and sold out the barn then. And in 1996, when they went to the Stanley Cup final, they sold out the barn then too. It's about winning in South Florida. Unless you're the Dolphins. They fill the stadium no matter what, but that's a football thing. Here you got to win or the place will be empty. That's the thing with the Marlins. That's the thing with the Inter Miami soccer team and clearly the hockey team too. Anyways, back to baseball. The LA Dodgers are on the verge of being considered a modern-day baseball dynasty. Winning a 3rd World Series title in 6 years would solidify their status, according to the Associated Press. The Dodgers have already won 12 of the last 13 NL West titles. However, the definition of a dynasty these days is debated. Some believe sustained success rather than consecutive titles qualifies a team for this status. Dodgers manager Dave Roberts says winning another title would place them among the top sports organizations. Dodgers shortstop Mookie Betts says each championship boosts his goal of reaching the Hall of Fame. I'm glad he at least admits it. It's not up to you, Mookie. It's up to the voting committee. You openly saying that probably hurts your chances. We'll carry this over next hour, the definition of a dynasty, because I know in Winnipeg they say 5 straight years in the Grey Cup makes them a dynasty. No, it doesn't. I'm sorry. You've lost the last 3. You got to win 3 in a row, especially in the CFL where it's hard not to make the playoffs and get to the Grey Cup. Here's the story you might find interesting. A Toronto bar and music venue says it had to take down social media posts promoting its specials and watch party for Game 7 of the ALCS after receiving a warning letter from the Blue Jays about using the team's logo. Sneaky D's manager George Diamantouros says his business received a letter from the Blue Jays saying the promo posts on Facebook and Instagram violated the Blue Jays' trademark rights and should be deleted. The Blue Jays say in a statement they're grateful for the support of local businesses as the team returns to the World Series, but Jays marks, including logo and player images, can only be used for promotional purposes by its official partners. Why is this a story is what I want to know. You don't have to have worked in sports or been around it long to know that you can't do that. So let me just say the sports update is brought to you by Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store Moose Jaw. Get your game day gear in store or online at ultimatefanzone.ca. As we wrap up the Canadian hour and go to air in Nevada next hour, and still on Game Plus, of course, I'll use this CFL analogy. Now, when I was working for the Rough Riders and dealing very closely with the marketing department, they said it was very tough. They would go to league meetings, CFL league meetings in Toronto, and they would say, we're having a tough time. Dairy Queen is putting our logo on their ice cream cakes, the Rough Riders logo, and selling them. They're not sponsoring us. You can't do that. And then you got the Argos sitting there going, Dairy Queen wants to put your logo on their cakes? Oh, my God. Big thing for the Argos, pain in the ass for the Rough Riders. And it's a market by market thing. Oh, thank you, BW in Edmonton. He says, I'm stopping in Moose Jaw today, hoping to find the UFZ. It's right downtown on Main Street, right across from the tunnels of Moose Jaw exit. So it's not hard to find. Jason in Red Deer says, hey, Rod, I'd pay a lot for that Golden Knights jersey behind you if it's an XL. I could not find any of the gray ones in anything close to an XL. Just the hideous gold jerseys. Well, this was a gift from my brother, just so you know. So I don't think you want this, Jason in Red Deer. That was a gift from my brother in 2017, the first year of the Vegas Golden Knights. Because for a while, that was my team. It's not for sale. Just like my Florida Panthers baby blue jersey that I got and had to find in a Panther Facebook group. They don't make them. Hey, Derek from Winnipeg, thanks chiming in with the questions for Marc Trestman. He's coming up, by the way, in the second segment of Hour 2, Marc Trestman, legendary NFL, CFL college coach. Yeah. This has been, I'll try to remember all these questions. Best way is probably to text me, 902-518-3033 for Western Dodge. Hour 2 coming up here on the Game Plus Television Network, YouTube Live, podcast, and Mission Radio.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
You have a vision, a big idea, But how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs guy through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs guy through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is, you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more, there's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
How about that?
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Hang on to your toupees. This is going to go fast. Welcome to the RP Show, everybody. Hour 2 on the Game Plus Television Network. Hour 1 on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network across Nevada, home of the Raiders. And we got a very special guest coming up today. My good friend Marc Trestman coming up. The questions are coming in fast and furious, both for those watching on streaming, watching on Yahoo, Hi, and on the Western Dodge text line 902-518-3033. I'll get to the news of the day in a second. We do that all the time. But again, yes, Marc Trestman coming up in the next segment, which reminds me, I was supposed to text him. You won't mind me, will you, if I talk and do this? I have to remind myself, Rod, not everybody knows who your friends are, so sometimes you have to go through and educate them. Marc Trestman is from Minneapolis, Minnesota, okay? He played for the Minnesota Vikings 79 and 1980 and then got into coaching. Miami Hurricanes from 81 to 84, then back coaching with the Vikings 85 and 86. Running backs coach, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Quarterbacks coach, Cleveland Browns, OC 88-89. Back to the Vikings 90-91. Bear with me, everybody. You get it. San Francisco 49ers, 95-96, OC, quarterback coach, Detroit Lions, Arizona Cardinals, with the Oakland Raiders, OC and quarterbacks coach there. And he said, by the way, I don't know what you want to talk to me about. And I'm like, Mark, come on, just some Raiders stories. You know, we're here with the Dolphins in 2004 as an assistant coach, NC State 05-06. New Orleans Saints in 07. I know, the show's only an hour long. But Montreal Alouettes. He came to the CFL in 2008. Coached with the Alouettes for 5 seasons. Won 2 Grey Cups. Then was the head coach of the Chicago Bears. 2013, 2014. Baltimore Ravens 2015-16. Back to the CFL with the Argos in 2017, 2018, where he won a Grey Cup. And now he is in Naples, Florida. Here we go. I'm just pasting it. I'm texting. Bear with me. Because you asked me for it. Boom, boom. Whoop. Send. Okay. Let's get down to business with the news of the day. How do you like us so far? Here's the breaking news. We're not a big NBA show, of course, but Portland Trailblazers head coach Chauncey Billups and Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier have been arrested by the FBI in connection with a federal investigation into sports betting and illegal gambling. The charge or charges Rozier and Billups face were not immediately known. The NBA had no immediate comment. Yeah, not good. Just so you know, when the FBI is involved, they don't get it wrong. Okay, this is not a mistake. That's the only thing we'll talk about NBA related here in this segment. Other than that's our poll question today for EMJ Marketing. Not that specifically, but where should the NBA expand to first? They're at 30 teams and have been for a real long time. Your options are Las Vegas, which initially I would have voted for, but I'm not. Seattle, where they dearly love the Supersonics, had their heart ripped out when they left and went to Oklahoma City. It's never been replaced. That's my vote, Seattle. Montreal or Vancouver. Now, there's only 30 teams. Maybe they could expand to 2 places. And if that's the case, maybe it's Seattle and one of those Canadian markets, Vancouver or Montreal. I don't know, but I think Vegas should be low on the pecking order. I mean, you got the Golden Knights in 2017. You got the Vegas Raiders, 5 years ago? And now you got the Athletics moving there. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, Marc Trestman said he was just getting on. Okay. Hey, Mark. Yeah. So 1:15 is when we'll be bringing him in. Point 2 of the Quick Say Show topics. The Toronto Blue Jays and LA Dodgers meet the media today ahead of Game 1 of the World Series at Rogers Center Friday night. The matchup features 2 contrasting approaches. The big spending Dodgers against a Blue Jays roster built on balance and development. Toronto's contact bats and steady defense will be tested by LA's power hitters in deep rotation led by lefty Blake Snell in Game 1. And the Jays still haven't named a starting pitcher yet for Game 1. As we sit here right now, I haven't seen it. I asked the viewers if you've seen it in the news. Have the Blue Jays named a starting pitcher for Game 1? It's not like they're scared. I don't think. They're going to be up against it no matter what. The Blue Jays are seeking their first World Series title since 1993, while the Dodgers are chasing back-to-back championships in their 4th appearance in 6 seasons, which reminds me, by the way, I said we were going to talk about this. What is the definition of a dynasty? Dave Roberts, the skipper of the Dodgers, are saying if we win it this year, we're a dynasty. Are you? There's still 30 teams, right? Do we not all think that it's 3 in a row, you're a dynasty? That's what everybody else says. Chiefs didn't even do it. Tampa Bay Lightning didn't do it. Neither one of those teams were parading around saying, we're a dynasty. They knew you got to win 3. So just because Dave Roberts says we're a dynasty if we win it, which, by the way, you can't win 4 games at once, Dave. God, they're cocky. Oh, this is funny. Jeff in Toronto's watching and writes in and says, maybe the FBI should look at Ohtani. How bad is it here in South Florida with the Dolphins? Just so you know, what are they, 1-6 now? Dolphins fans today are saying they're hearing that Chris Greer, the GM, and Mike McDaniel, the head coach, were part of the Chauncey Billups gambling ring. That's not true. They want him out of here that bad. I'm checking in with the audience. Arlen Bruce writes in, 2-time Grey Cup champion, former Kansas City Chief, writes in and says, RP, Marc Trestman can turn a bench warmer into a Hall of Fame player and turn an assistant coach into a coach of the year. What a great human. You know, all these questions have come in, and Mark said he's logging in early. That might be something that I want to ask him when we get him on here at 1:15 after the hour. What do you want to be remembered for? Arlen Bruce just said, what a great human. We had the Argos fan last hour right in. Kirk, where is it? From Mark's time in the CFL. He says, I met him at an Argo preseason meet and greet. He is a true gentleman and scholar. Well, he's a champion. He is literally a scholar. But to be known as a nice guy, that's what I want to be known for. And I'm just honored that he is a friend and was nice enough to come on today. Coming up in the next segment, Marc Trestman, former Oakland Raiders assistant coach, 01 to 03. Yeah. They're all talking about the 2009 Grey Cup. That may or may not come up. Anything else you'd like? Vintage Sasko writes in. He says, hello, Rod Father, referring to the fact that I am an ordained minister. Greatly enjoying your show and this baseball postseason. Just curious why MLB teams still use rotary phones to contact the bullpen rather than a text. It is 2025. Great show, signed Vintage Sasko. I know you're just passing that along. You know that I don't have the answer to that. Laverne in Speedy Creek writes in. He says, I'd be curious to see how Marc Trestman feels about Dub Airs 4-2 start and Caleb Williams as a leader. I should be writing down some of my own questions for Marc Trestman when he comes up in the next segment. Rob in the Queen City writes in. He says, did the Riders ever inquire about Marc Trestman's services? Remind me, I'll ask these if we get time. It's only a 20-minute segment. Now, people they just can't wait to talk to Marc Trestman, just like me. Point 3 of the Quick Six. And before I do that, I should tell you we're brought to you in part by Pump Jack's Steakhouse and Saloon. Come early, stay late at the place where friends meet. Pump Jack's Cathedral, Pump Jack's Weyburn. They sponsor our NFL and CFL picks. Speaking of, point 3, Carson Wentz. Not Carlos Wentz. That's his brother. Carson Wentz will make his 5th straight start at quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings when they play the Chargers in L.A. on Thursday Night Football. The team said J.J. McCarthy needs more time to build up a sprained right ankle, especially on a short week. The Vikings are coming off a 28-22 loss to visiting Philadelphia on Sunday. Chargers favored tonight by 3.5. And everybody, remind me that I said this. I read a paper or a thesis, or maybe it was just a blog by Marc Trestman that said he felt Justin Herbert is the best quarterback in the NFL. Now, that was a couple of years ago. I want to ask Mark if he still feels that way. And the most recent team Marc Trestman worked for was the LA Chargers, so he would know Justin Herbert very, very well. Should be a good game tonight on Thursday Night Football. Vikings 3-3, Chargers 4-3. The game of the week, though, the game of Week 8 is Sunday night, Packers at Steelers. Aaron Rodgers telling the media yesterday that it's not a revenge game. Sure, it's not, Aaron. Oddly enough, I was listening to Mike Florio this morning as I was banging out my run. 4 miles today in 30 minutes. Not a big deal. Here's what they were talking about in that 40 minutes. Mike Florio of NBC Sports Radio. Justin Fields spat with the Jets owner, Woody Johnson, which Justin Fields says he didn't even hear what the owner said. Sure. 2, Sean Payton and Russell Wilson spat. Everybody's having spats this week. Why can't we all? Everybody's stressed. And then Bad Bunny. There continues to be all these letters to the NFL to change their mind on the halftime act Bad Bunny because everybody's so upset that they're bringing in the Puerto Rican superstar rapper that nobody's heard of. Well, not nobody. I haven't heard of. And as Florio says, and I'll go along with him, they're not changing their mind, folks. They are not changing their mind. Okay? Point 4, because we are big CFL fans here. Yes, we're airing across Nevada, but also across Canada. Game Plus TV and the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. It's the final week of the CFL regular season. A couple of the teams playing this week. Well, half the league has nothing to play for, but some really do. And I threw this out to our hour 1 guest, Les Lazaruk, the voice of the Blades, and our viewers. Who's the biggest threat to the Saskatchewan Roughriders of winning the Grey Cup? They are a CFL best 12-5? 12 wins, whatever it is. And They've clinched first place. They have nothing to play for Saturday night, but they're playing at home against a BC team that has a lot to play for. Who's their biggest threat? You clinch first. You're resting guys. You have for a while. I thought it was easy. I thought it was BC. Co-host Les said BC, but the Alberta viewers are saying it's the Stampeders. Some of the Rider fans are saying it's themselves. So yeah, it's a fun discussion. Point 5 of the Quick Six show topics. Mike Matheson scored on a one-timer off Ivan Davidov's crossing pass a minute into overtime, and it gave the Montreal Canadiens a 2-1 victory over the Calgary Flames. The Flames are 1-6-1. That lone victory coming in their opener at Edmonton, which seems like a year ago. And the Flames have tied their worst start in franchise history dating back to 1995-96 under Pierre Pagé. And then the lights didn't even work in the Saddledome last night for the first 5 minutes of the game. And if I'd had more time last hour, I would have asked Les Lazaruk if he had any stories of broadcasting in the Saddledome. I have many. I love that barn. But it's falling apart. We all have to say goodbye. Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. The Saddledome is a dump. And unfortunately, the team's matching it right now. And a year ago, when the Flames were off to a slow start, I was counseling Flames fans, telling them not to worry. Now they don't even want to hear it. So you know what? Panic away. If you don't have any faith in your guys and the coach, which I do, I think they'll turn it around. But it is worst start since 95, 96. That's tied the worst in franchise. I know it's a lot. I know it sucks. There are 12 games tonight in the National Hockey League, including these red-hot Montreal Canadiens visiting the Edmonton Oilers. Canadians have won 6 in a row. So listen, who's for real? The Flames as bad as they are or the Habs as good as they are? This Montreal team, I don't think they're this good, but maybe they are. Game of the night, certainly in Canada, is in Edmonton at Rogers Place. I would submit that the game of the night in America is in Tampa Bay, where Connor Bedard and the Chicago Blackhawks are in town tonight and as part of this 12-game slate. I'm very excited here in Sunrise. Our Florida Panthers, who have been gone for 5 in a row, are back home tonight. Thank God. And we have royalty in town. Sidney Crosby and Evgeny Malkin come to town tonight with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Ooh, I can't wait. And these Vegas Golden Knights come to town on Saturday night as the Panthers get rolling on a homestand. So I'm very excited to watch my Florida Panthers here at home. By the way, the program brought to you in part by Suds Full Service Car Wash. Fuel your fleet's finesse with Suds unbeatable cleaning packages. They'll shine like new every time. Visit sudsregina.com. We have enough questions for Marc Trestman to fill a 8-episode Netflix series, okay? So I appreciate everybody writing in. For instance, Gary in Winnipeg writes in, he says, I'm wondering if Marc Trestman follows MLB baseball at all? If so, who's he cheering for? We'll sneak that one in if we run out of football questions. Come on, Gary, give me a break. You don't bring on a guy like Marc Trestman and ask him about baseball. What do you think this is? Arlen Bruce says, bro, I think the Blue Jays will win the 2025 World Series. Well, listen, it's one thing. I was talking to an MMA fighter last week. If you don't think you're going to win, you've already lost. So let's be positive going into the World Series. I get it. It's the little old Blue Jays against the new evil empire, the LA. Yeah, okay, now I want to ask Tress about the World Series. So we will. The great Marc Trestman joins us next, everybody. And we do have time for your questions. 902-518-3033. Experience the Western Dodge difference. Local, reliable, and driven to find the perfect vehicle for you. You are watching on the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network all across Nevada, right in Las Vegas, across Canada on the Game Plus TV network in 32 U.S. states, YouTube Live, podcast, and Mission Radio.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live. Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. It's the RP Show as we roll along in the Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network. I'm not entirely certain what's going on. Marc Trestman telling me that he's got us. He's got the feed where I'm told that they don't have him, so they're working on it. I would love to be able to answer these questions myself, but I can't because I'm not Marc Trestman. So producer Corey is calling Mark, and they're working on it. And he's been sitting there watching the show, so I'm not entirely certain what's going on. What I will do while we have a minute is roll into the sports update here, brought to you by Ultimate Fan Zone, your home for jerseys, collectibles, and all the gear you need. Visit them today or shop online at ultimatefanzone.ca. There is big news from the NBA. Portland Trailblazers head coach Chauncey Billups and Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier have been arrested in connection with a federal investigation into sports betting and illegal gambling. The charge or charges they're facing are unknown. Rozier's lawyer previously told ESPN that Rozier was told an initial investigation determined he did nothing wrong. A message seeking comment has been left with Billups, who was inducted into the Basketball Hall of Fame last year. The NBA has had no comment on the matter. It's a developing story that just broke this morning. But again, when the FBI is arresting you and knocking on your door, that's not good, and they don't get it wrong. This is not an investigation. They have been arrested and charged for gambling violations. More news from Thursday morning. The San Francisco Giants are hiring University of Tennessee coach Tony Vitello as their manager for his first professional coaching job. It's a bold gamble by San Francisco executive Buster Posey on a coach with no previous experience in the pros. The 47-year-old Vitello is making the jump after spending his entire career at the college level. He guided the Vols to their first NCAA title last year. Are there any Giants fans out there? To be honest, I don't know any. So tell me what kind of a job Buster Posey is doing as an executive with the San Francisco Giants, please, because they missed the playoffs this year, fired a coach, and now they're bringing in a guy that's never coached at the major league or pro baseball at all. I'd like to hear from the Giants fans how you feel about this move. That is your sports update, proudly presented by Ultimate Fan Zone Sports Store in Moose Jaw. Get your gear in-store or online at ultimatefanzone.ca. What is the word, gentlemen, on Marc Trestman, as people have tuned in? Producer Corey, do we have him? Because I can certainly sit here and read viewer comments. That's probably what we're going to have to do. Derek in Winnipeg writes in, he says, Rod, if this saves you time over your years covering the CFL, what's one moment or story that most changed the way you see the league, whether it's on the field, behind the scenes, or with the fans? Just hang on. I'm not sure we're there yet. Sending it via what? Text or email? Sorry, folks. Okay, I'm texting it to him, and I'm going to email it to him as well. Everybody, nobody's dying here. It's not the end of the world. We'll get this figured out with Marc Trestman. And if not today, it'll be tomorrow. All right? Let's just everybody take a breath. As I said earlier, as I was reading off the vast resume of Marc Trestman, head coach of the Chicago Bears, offensive coordinator with the Oakland Raiders, 2001 to 2003, and quarterbacks coach there, hired by John Gruden. So I will be excited to get Marc Trestman on. I hear him. I hear him laughing. Now all we need is a picture, and we'll be good to go. Mark was just on the golf course. You're live, Mark. I can hear you. Kevin the Medium writes in from Mexico. He says, I'm sitting by the pool listening to the RP show. Life is great. Not as great as it is for Marc Trestman, who's cheering for the Blue Jays in the World Series. I can tell. How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing awesome, Rod. Thanks for having me on. I'm sorry about the technology. Sometimes you can't help yourself. You know, you got to be flexible. But it's great to be with you. Great to see you.
Always great to see you. How did you play this morning, Mark?
You always play better after it's over. I'm getting to learn the game. I love playing golf. I got a real passion for it. Looking out at the golf course now, and looking forward to playing tomorrow.
I don't know if you were watching earlier. There's so many questions. We won't have time to get to them all for you. But of all the things you've done, there's Argo fans writing in, Alouettes fans, and they met you. You're such a great guy. Arlen Bruce wrote in and said, you could make a bench warmer a Hall of Famer. You could make an assistant coach the coach of the year. But I said, they all say you're a great guy. Mark, when it's all said and done, what do you want to be remembered for with your vast and tremendous career?
Well, that would be an honor and a privilege to be remembered at that, as just that, somebody who, treated people with respect and humility, somebody who led with love, cared about the people, cared about touching lives and making everybody's life better. That would be pretty cool.
That's what I remember you for, and I'm honored to call you a friend. And I got a million things racing through my mind, but the number one thing is this. When we were on the phone a month ago, you said it took you 3 years or 5 years to figure out the CFL game. You were in the Grey Cup your first year in 2008. What are you talking about? How do you mean it took you that long to figure out the CFL game?
Well, I think that you never stop learning. And as you know, I was really blessed. I had Anthony, I had Ben Cahoon, I had Scott Flory and Brian Chu and and Burke and Parrott, and I mean the list goes on and on. Excuse me, I'm trying to hold my phone and talk at the same time.
You're
I'm
good.
incapable. um,
You're good.
so I was really lucky from day one, and the people that I was surrounded by helped me grow, and I just found every year I learned something more about the great game of Canadian football and how all the pieces fit together. And those who created it were incredibly brilliant in terms of how they put it together. And I was lucky because I met Coach Buono in the first time we had coaches meetings. I walked up to him, and he was really helpful, cordial, and reassuring.
Mark, it's like we're on the same wave. I was just gonna say Wally Buono. I said the same thing to Wally. I said, Wally, how do you explain your success? He says, great players. You just went down the same road. Don't tell me he taught you that. You knew that before you
I
met
did.
Wally. Yeah.
I did. And I mean, look at me. I showed up in Montreal, I had Anthony Calvillo, and I showed up in Toronto and had Ricky Ray. So when you show up as a coach and you have great quarterbacks, you got to be pretty incompetent to screw it up.
Well, the other thing is great people. Wally's so awesome, and yourself, CFL icons. But the one thing is, as we've gone to Air Nevada here for the last month and hopefully forever, you asked, what are we going to talk about? I'll come back to the CFL stories, but your Raider days, 01 to 03. I'm looking up your resume here. Gruden hire you in 01 with the Raiders? What was going on with the Oakland Raiders back then?
Well, I had John Gruden and I had met at the combine years earlier, and we always promised each other that if one of us got fired, the other would hire, and that doesn't happen. Coaches say that all the time, but John had my back. I had really a great experience in Arizona with Jake Plummer. We went to the playoffs, beat Dallas in the playoffs my first year there, and things for a number of reasons went downhill. And Dave McGinnis got fired in 2001, and John had a spot and hired me to be what was really the first senior assistant in the National Football League. That's what I was titled. And then we lost in the Tuck game to the Patriots that year. We had a really good football team, lost the Patriots. John was traded to Tampa, and Bill Callahan was elevated to head coach and hired me as a coordinator. And I was really lucky. We had Rich Gannon there, who I had in Minnesota. I coached him in Minnesota. We had him there now in Oakland, and we got Rice. We had Tim Brown. They were at the end, but they were still really good. And we had a really great running back that just slips my mind. Charlie Garner was a phenomenal player, and we had a really good offensive line, and we had a great offense, and really played good defense and went to the Super Bowl and then lost to Gruden in Tampa.
A lot of the viewers want to know if you are surprised by the Raiders' start this year.
I'm a little surprised. I thought they would be better with their quarterback, the experience they had, but apparently they've had a hell of a lot of injuries. I haven't followed them really close, but the first year is always an anomaly. A lot of first year coaches lost a lot of games and did very well in all sports. Tony Dungy was one of them, and he didn't start well in Tampa. So Pete's a great coach. We've coached together 2 different times. I've known him pretty much my entire coaching career, and all in due time he'll turn that thing around, and the quality of that league, that division will continue to get tougher.
Jeff in Toronto writes in and says, Mark did a great job with Rich Gannon. After reading your book, and you have another one coming out, so we're gonna have to talk about that, but was Gannon the player you were the closest to? I feel like you and Bernie Kosar were pretty tight too, but who was the quarterback you had the best relationship with?
I can't even break them apart. I mean, from Josh, I mean, they were all, I mean, every quarterback I've coached, I felt, there's always an exception, but for the most part, great relationships. Still taking contact with Jake Plummer, Josh McCown, Bernie, Vinny, Joe Flacco, just a lot of them. I mean, and the guys that didn't start. So, it's the relationship business, and that includes Ricky, of course, and Anthony. Golly, I don't know that I could have been closer to anybody than I was to those two guys. Absolutely loved coaching them and learning from them.
Obviously, the CFL fans are they got a million questions for you. I'll only ask you one more NFL.
I got all the time in the world. So
okay.
We're on your clock.
Well, just this, I read a paper or a thesis or a blog or something by you a few years ago. You said that you wrote that you thought Justin Herbert was the best quarterback in the NFL. Do you still?
Oh yeah, I think. He's got guys at his level. I just don't think there's anybody. What was fascinating last week, he had one of the greatest fourth quarter performances in 4 or 5 plays that you'll ever see. And I happened to be working out in the gym and saw ESPN, and they didn't even cover it. Justin Herbert is one of the most elite human beings I've ever been around. He's an A+ at everything: size, talent, speed, intelligence, self-awareness, humility. I've never met anybody quite like him. And I don't doubt that if he stays healthy and they can take some of the hits off him over the next few months and the years to come, he's as good as anybody now. I'm not going to isolate him from the Mahomeses. I think Jalen Daniels is really something. I love Matt Stafford, phenomenal. There's a number of guys that are in that category, but I don't think anybody is a better quarterback than Justin Herbert.
Wow. Here's the exact quote from Arlen Bruce, who's watching. He goes, Marc Trestman can turn a bench warmer into a Hall of Fame player and turn an assistant coach into a coach of the year. What a great human. That's from Arlen Bruce. I just wanted to read that to you to make sure that I had it right. Jeff, the Stamps fan.
Thank you.
Isn't it? Great guy, AB. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, Mr. Trestman, how soon did you see the flag? He's talking about 09 Grey Cup. And did you realize there was too many men on the Riders? And how confident were you in Damon Duvall on the re-kick?
It's a great question. Things happen so fast in the chaos that, you don't really think about it. When you look back, you go, what am I going to tell my team after this incredible performance? You're almost outside of the moment going, I got to answer to a very difficult loss at home against Calgary, in year 1, and now in year 2, these guys that I know have worked. So I'm just thinking about the players, like, what am I going to say to them? What key points can I make to take some of the sting out of losing the game after we came back, from a fairly big margin. I don't remember, but it was significant in the fourth quarter, and a gritty performance by our team to lose on a field goal. So, I never thought that Damon was going to miss the second one. I never thought he was going to miss the first one. And I also felt really bad for the other side. And I can't remember, it just slips my mind who the special teams coach was. I'm sort of an empath. I really felt sorry. I really feel sorry for Cavis, and my respect for him went up. I didn't know Cavis, but he came out and owned it right after the game.
Yes, he did.
I just have the utmost respect, and always have, because of that moment. That's the toughest thing, because it's a memory that's simply impossible to erase.
Yeah. Well, not the toughest day in Saskatchewan history. We've had some tough ones, but that one is up there. BC Eric says, great interview with Coach Trestman, RP. This is why we watch. It's because of the guests. It's because, just like he's a great coach because of the players, as he said, it's a great show here because of the guests. I say this by holding my breath. People want to know your thoughts on the CFL rule changes, and we only have a couple minutes left. Are you ready to broach that, or would you rather not, Coach?
No, I think we can broach it. I don't know the specifics, but I have a couple thoughts on it that I'd be more than happy to share with the fans.
Sure, go ahead. I think we got about 3 to 4 minutes, so go ahead.
Okay, I'll keep my filter on. Number one is, I remember sitting in the rules meeting with Wally Bono my first or second year, and he would always say, we got to really be careful when we talk about rules and want to change them, because it's been a pretty good league for the last 100 whatever years, 140 years. So, and I think that One of the things that I do respect is the fact that I've heard, and I don't know where this is true, that the coaches were not involved in these decisions. That's very disappointing. The people that know the football the best aren't involved in the decision making. And so that was very disappointing to me personally, that the coaches, and then the timing of it, number three, is I just didn't, I thought it was disrespectful to the people in the league that are playing and coaching the game, because it's to them. I mean, Jason Moss and whomever should not have been having to answer questions about rule changes during the week of a game. That's really hard to do, and it takes everything to focus in the moment on winning a game on the scoreboard. So that was disappointing. Now, as far as the rules go, I mean, I don't want to be specific in any. The one that caught my ear was a 35-second rule. I think that just watch the NFL games with the 40-second rule, and 30% of the plays don't get started till less than 5 seconds left on the 40-second clock. So, but I did hear the commissioner say that they're going to leave some of that to coaches. That would be a good one, because that's really hard to get the team to the line of scrimmage, make checks, protection changes, etc., and get that ball off in 35 seconds, when in the NFL they don't get it off sometimes in 40. And so that'll be an interesting one. So I guess that's where I'm gonna end it. I just I don't doubt that the people in charge are trying to do what's best for the league. I respect that. I think there's some really smart people involved. I don't know any of them personally, but just leaving the coaches out, I think it's just simply disrespectful.
Ooh, and we're out of time. Sorry, Coach. Is that it, Corey? We got to roll? They cut us off here. Yeah.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Hiring a video company shouldn't be complicated. Click, pay, done. Skycron.com/Regina.
All right, welcome back, everybody, as the RP Show continues. And yeah, we got through it. It's just me the rest of the way. Thanks to Coach Trestman for his patience. And we got most of the questions in. We'll have to bring him back, but I do want to help promote his book the next time that he comes on. His first book, Perseverance, was a bestseller. I loved it. And he's just such a special, special guy, Marc Trestman. And thank him for his time. And thank you to the viewers for tuning in. Before we switch gears and talk about the news of the day, Sandra's watching. She says, we definitely need more Trestman on the show. That segment was not nearly enough. Hope he's back soon. Carlos in Indianapolis says, you know you're having a good segment when the break pops up out of nowhere, right? JJ writes in, he says, thanks for doing this, Mark and Rod. He says his question was about the 35-second change to the play clock. He says, you answered my question. Thank you, Coach. So we did it. Things happen. Now, this story is very interesting out of the NBA, is it not? Portland Trailblazers head coach Chauncey Billups, Miami Heat guard Terry Rozier, and former Cleveland Cavaliers assistant Damon Jones are among 34 people charged in connection with schemes involving illegal sports betting and rigged poker games backed by the mafia, authorities said today. Rozier is accused in participating in an illegal sports betting scheme using private insider NBA information, officials said. Billups is charged in a separate indictment, alleging a wide-ranging scheme to rig underground poker games. You know, and I was thinking about this all day. It's like we never talk about the NBA on this show. We stick to our core, which is football and hockey and baseball when our team's doing something like in the World Series. We very rarely dabble in the NBA. But as a guy that works as a full-time recovery coach, mental health and addiction recovery, this stuff piques my interest. And with the NBA charging these guys this morning, my very first thought was, maybe they have a problem. Because the average person goes, you're the head coach of the Portland Trailblazers. Why do you need to run an underground poker ring? And that's a great question. But the one thing about the FBI, when they are, number one, investigating, but number two, charging and arresting, they're pretty sure they got it right. This goes beyond, oh, I got a gambling addiction. Help me. That's just my sense. I just find the whole series, the whole thing interesting. Speaking of this World Series, my mind's getting ahead of me here. Enthusiasm for the World Series-bound Toronto Blue Jays helped boost third-quarter revenue at Rogers Communications Incorporated, which owns the team and broadcasts its games, nearly offsetting an overall dip in adjusted earnings and promising lucrative results in the game days ahead. Why did I read that? There's very few things people care about less than big corporations announcing that they've made a lot of money. And that includes me. I don't care that the Blue Jays made money. My God, if they didn't, somebody would need to be fired. Well, how about, yes, Laverne writes in from Speedy Creek. He says, Marc Trestman is cheering. Who is Marc Trestman cheering for in the World Series? Well, he's wearing a Blue Jays hat, so. And he said, did you say he's 69 years old? He looks 39. I was a little surprised at how great he looks, too. But again, the guy looks after himself. So, very, very, very sharp guy. Kirk in Toronto writes in. He says, hey, Rod, thanks for 2 great guests today. It is a great way to start the day with those 2 gems. right? And like I say, we could have gone on for a long time with Marc Trestman, but we got the meat and the potatoes out of it. And for the guy that was said, was it not Paul Lapalisse was the special teams? No, he wasn't. Yeah, he did slam the headset, and that's the one thing. That's what everybody sees, the video from that championship game. I was broadcasting the game. I was on the staff of the team. I'm pretty sure I know that Kavis Reed was the special teams coach. Paul Lapalisse was the receivers coach. No, he was the offensive coordinator. Ken Miller was the head coach. Lapo just happened to be up there slamming his headsets, but it was Kavis Reed. That's the one thing I'm sure of in life. We'll be back in a second with Overtime. We're live on the Game Plus Television Network, Silver State Sports and Entertainment Network, YouTube Live podcast, and across the U.S. South here on 1700 Mission Radio. You got questions and comments? One more chance, 902-518-3033. We'll be right back.
This is a test pattern. This is what happens when your video company screws up. You don't want your clients to see a screw-up. Hire a company that only does video, so it won't screw up. Then, people who give you money will see less of these and more of you. Skycron.com/live.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Sports fans, daytime sports talk gets a whole lot better weekdays at noon Eastern with the Rod Pedersen Show. Talking sports daily with A-list guests, and the best part is you can always join the discussion as we're the most interactive talk show on television. Broadcasting from coast to coast from the biggest events like Super Bowl, Stanley Cup Final, Grey Cup, and more. There's nothing like it in the game today. The Rod Pedersen Show, daily at noon Eastern and 10 p.m. Pacific on Game Plus Network.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
You have a vision, a big idea, but how do you turn ambition into absolute impact? It starts with connection. Booking top-tier speakers and executing seamless events, that's the EMJ difference. We position your brand where it belongs, Guy, through powerful advertising, strategic media, and promotion that drives results. At EMJ Marketing, we don't just promote, we partner. Your growth, our mission.
Do you worry about how much someone drinks?
Do you feel angry or depressed most of the time? Do you feel neglected or unloved?
Do you feel that if the drinker loved you, she or he would stop drinking?
If you answered yes to any of these questions, you are not alone.
Not everyone trapped by alcohol is an alcoholic.
Families and friends are suffering too.
Al-Anon
and Alateen can help. Call 1-866-200-0223 or visit alanon.org/help.
Looking for a new ride without the big city pressure? Come to Western Dodge in Moose Jaw, where you'll find an unbeatable lineup of Ram trucks, Jeep SUVs, Dodge Muscle, and Chrysler family rides. With knowledgeable staff, great prices, and that friendly Moose Jaw touch, you'll drive away with confidence. Western Dodge, big selection, small town service. Visit us today or browse online at westerndodge.ca. All right, welcome back, everybody, for Overtime, proudly brought to you by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. If you're looking for the perfect place to perfect your shot, that's the place to do it. Overtime Hockey Lanes with state-of-the-art shooting lanes, top-notch equipment. It's the ultimate training destination for players of all ages and skill levels. I call it an amusement park for hockey players, but don't take my word for it. Go check them out for yourself and tell Randy and Michelle that the RP Show sent you. Big thanks to Marc Trestman today. Yes, he's one of the big ones, one of the biggest names in football. And I say it wasn't as long as we would have liked with Marc, but we covered the ground that I wanted to. We'll bring him back again next time. And again, he's got a book on its way out. His first one was a bestseller called Perseverance. Look that up. It's available on Amazon. Jeff in Toronto writes in. He says, a great show. Glad this came on my algorithm. Thank you for tuning in. People seem to like it. I'm not sure why. I'll say one more. I don't know why I get so wigged out about this. We all have our yips, triggers. As a guy that worked for many years in the Canadian Football League, or Canadian media, forget about the football part. JJ writes in, just regarding these rule changes that people can't let go in Canada to the Canadian Football League. JJ says, I guess we know why the press in Canada won't speak freely about the new proposed rule changes. You're not the guy trying to work with the Canadian Football League, JJ. You're not the guy trying to get a pass to Grey Cup or have guests come on the show. I don't know what you people aren't getting. You criticize the authority figures, you're done. What don't you get? What are you not connecting there? I hope you're still watching, but it's I won't go any further than that. It's changed. I'm done. NHL tonight, 3, 6, 9, 12 games. These Vegas Golden Knights, the team that I think is the best team in the NHL, and I'm not joking, are off. Game of the night, I believe, is in Tampa Bay. Let's rip through these games, see if I can get them done on our breakaway bets. Straight up, not point spreads or anything. Tampa Bay home to Chicago. Lightning will win that one. Philadelphia at Ottawa. The Giroux Bowl, as they're calling it. God, give me the Flyers on that one. They've actually been hot. Sens not. Pittsburgh Penguins here against the Florida Panthers. Panthers back home after a 5-game roadie. They'll want to put their best foot forward. Cats. Anaheim at Boston. Not a Bruins backer. I'm going with a waterfowl. Detroit Red Wings at the New York Islanders tonight. Detroit. Sorry. Joe Lazito along Rangers. They have not won at home yet, but they're playing the only team in the NHL who doesn't have a win, the San Jose Sharks. I got to think the Rangers will pull this one out tonight. Utah has not lost since they've unveiled their mascot, Tusky. Tonight's the night. They'll lose at St. Louis. The Vancouver Canucks are at the Nashville Predators tonight. I think the Canucks will get back on the horse on this road trip and win tonight. Winnipeg Jets go for a 6th straight victory as they welcome the Saskatchewan Kraken tonight. Jets will get their 6th straight victory tonight. You're welcome, Winnipeg. Montreal Canadiens at the Edmonton Oilers. The win streak dies tonight. Oilers will win at home. Carolina at Colorado. Potential Stanley Cup preview there. I'll go with the Canes. And the Los Angeles Kings at the Dallas Stars. Let's call it the Dave Tippett Bowl. Stars for me, yo. That's it. Read them and weep. What are yours? Thank you. Jeff in Toronto writes in. He says, just read Savage starts game 1. So I'm sitting there thinking, is this a good thing or a bad thing? That it's been 24 hours since the Dodgers named their starter, Blake Snell. They just seem very confident and cocky coming in, don't they? Kelly in Regina says the same thing. Thank you. Savage to start the first Jays game. It is interesting being on the air in 2 countries like we are. Like, rest in peace to any sporting events in Canada Friday night, television ratings-wise, as the Blue Jays host the Dodgers in Game 1 of the World Series. In America, nobody's really talking about it, but they never really do since I've been here, and it's 5 years. So I'm serious. They really don't. There was some talk last year, Yankees-Dodgers for sure. Of course. This year, Not really as much. Laverne writes in, he says, great show, RP. Looking forward to Football Friday. And, of course, there's a ball game Friday night, I hear. Yeah, everybody's all geeked up. It makes me very excited about that. Program brought to you in part by Western Dodge. Experience the Western Dodge difference. Local, reliable, and driven to find the perfect vehicle for you. Jim Barker will be with us tomorrow. He is was formerly a Las Vegas resident, not anymore. He's a Toronto resident now. The synergies are there on the RP show between the Big Smoke and Sin City. I should actually update our poll question. I said we're never going to, shouldn't say never. Never is a long time, but I feel like we're not going to be the NBA show ever. But the poll question today does relate to the NBA, and believe it or not, I said, where should the NBA expand to first? Las Vegas leads with 34% of the vote. Vegas, 34%. Next, Vancouver with 31%. Followed by Seattle with 29%, which has got my vote because I was such a Supersonics fan. And bringing up the rear with 6%, Montreal, which actually, if you wanted to, you could make a really strong case for Montreal being the next expansion team in the NBA. Yes, I know there will be everybody. There's no wrong answer with regards to what you're going to watch on the tube tomorrow. A lot of people saying they're going to be watching the El Camos and the Stampeders. It's the sports equinox, and it's only going to last for another 10 days or so, so enjoy it. NFL, NHL, NBA, MLB, all playing at the same time. Doesn't happen a lot, but there's college football too. So Southern Alabama, Georgia State tonight, kicking off in Atlanta. So whatever your viewing pleasure is, enjoy it. Most importantly, be good to each other, but definitely yourself, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
That.